We are calling to order the 2,425th meeting of the Darien Police Commission, which is being held virtually and is a special meeting. First order of business, acceptance of the minutes of December 2nd and December 29th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Brent, second. Kevin, any discussion, comments, additions, men, commissioners? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Chief, correspondence?
I have a letter here from the Darien Human Services Agency at the town hall. I received a $20 Dunkin' Donuts gift card around the holidays. The town's policy, as the commission knows, if we get gift cards given to an agency such as the police department, we give them to the Human Services Commission for doling out to some of their clients. So I was glad to give that $20 gift card around the holidays to Allie over there, and she got it out to a person in need during the holidays. So she got a letter from her thanking us for that. I also have two donations. As typically around the holidays, we tend to get donations to the police department. We got one from a resident of Maywood Road and one from a resident from Richmond Drive, both families looking to donate $100 each to Darien Police Department. So I will make a recommendation to the commission that we accept those two $100 donations for deposit into the police department gift fund.
I will make a motion that we accept both of those gifts with great appreciation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Excellent. No other correspondence. Captain Marin, department activity?
Yeah, this will cover the period from December 2nd until yesterday. On December 17th, a Pasture Lane resident reported that 2 checks that were placed in outgoing mail were fraudulently cashed in amounts much higher than they were originally written for to unintended recipients. The 2 checks were placed in the resident's mailbox on October 30th. On December 17th, a 43-year-old Stanford man was arrested for DWI after the vehicle he was operating struck a parked car on Park Place and subsequently rolled over. The incident took place at approximately 11:45 p.m. On December 17th, during the evening hours, an office located at 24 Old Kings Highway South was burglarized. On the afternoon of December 18th, it was discovered that an office located at 722 Post Road had been burglarized sometime during the previous 24 hours. December 21st, a vehicle caused damage to the athletic and recreation fields at Henley School. December 24th, at approximately 12:30 p.m., the People's Bank located at 25 Old Kings Highway North was robbed. This incident remains open as an active investigation by the Darien Police Detective Division. On December 24th, at approximately 7:45 p.m., 3 male subjects entered the gas station located at 1358 Post Road and stole several drinks and snacks. On December 30th, vehicles caused damage to the athletic and recreation fields at both Henley School and Middlesex Middle School. On December 31st, at approximately 10:30 p.m., a 52-year-old Darien man was arrested for allowing an underage drinking party to take place at his residence. January 5th, a package was stolen from the mailbox of a Hollow Tree Ridge Road residence. January 7th, Chestnut Street residents sustained minor damage due to a small kitchen fire. On January 8th, a 24-year-old Stanford man was arrested for DWI after his vehicle was observed being operated erratically on the Post Road at approximately 2:30 a.m. January 10th, at approximately 7:30 a.m., mail placed in outgoing mail, including 2 personal checks, were stolen from a Bittersweet Lane residence mailbox. On January 11th, the catalytic converter was stolen from a Ford pickup truck while it was parked in the lower lot of Darien Town Hall. January 12th, a 42-year-old Trumbull man was arrested for DWI after he was observed asleep behind the wheel on Rings End Road at approximately 1:30 a.m. Since December 2nd, the Patrol Division and Traffic Division have conducted 73 traffic stops in numerous areas of town. Since December 2nd, there were 26 overnight burglaries of unlocked vehicles, 4 stolen vehicles that were left unlocked with the keys in it. Since December 2nd, 37 motor vehicle accidents took place, 12 that involved minor injuries, one of which involved a pedestrian in a crosswalk in which the vehicle was at fault and cited. Final numbers for the 2021 calendar year: there were 190 burglaries of unlocked vehicles and 50 stolen vehicles that were left unlocked with the keys in. That is it.
Anyone want to ask questions, elaborate?
At the risk of sounding like a broken record, almost one vehicle per week that's unlocked and 4 vehicles a week that were unlocked. I know I'm preaching to the choir here with the commission. We simply need people to lock their cars. Most of these crimes are avoidable by simply using your key fob or pushing the button on your car to lock your car while it's in your driveway.
Okay, old business, COVID-19 update back on the front burner. Chief, is that you?
Yeah, unfortunate but true. The last wave of COVID, the police department was largely unscathed as far as outages and COVID positivity and family positivity. With these new variants, we're not quite as fortunate. Kind of the good thing is that the quarantine period is lessened to 5 days. So while we have more people coming in and out than we had before, so far it's been manageable to a large extent because we get our officers and our staff back quicker. So we are managing. It does involve officers on a regular basis working double shifts to cover people that are out from either quarantining or with a positive COVID diagnosis. But thus far, we're managing. I'm hoping we see the peak of it at this point and we start to subside in the next weeks as we move into spring. One can only hope. 2 years ago when they said, give us a couple weeks and we'll crush the curve. And here we are 2 years later and we're still trying to dig out from under this. But by and large, our folks have done a fine job. People step up to the plate and do what needs to be done. We're continuing to deliver proper police service and public safety across the board, and we will continue to do that.
Well, here, I'm hoping we are reaching the end of this peak. It does seem to have some seasonality to it since we're in our 3rd year of this. So, okay. Building issues update. Is that Captain Schroeder's?
Yes, so I've had another reoccurring problem with the door fobs on the north side of the building. So we're working with the vendor to try to get that fixed and get the funds for that. It involves 2 separate doors on the north side. And as far as automated logic in the building, we're in a holding pattern right now. Currently, everything's working properly. So we still got a little ways to go with that, but hopefully by spring it'll be squared away.
But we're moving in the right direction with automated logic, you feel?
Yes.
All right. Commissioners, any other old business? New business, we have traffic issues. I see, I know Weber Lane is the last bullet, but I see Catherine Michael here. You might not want to sit through. Am I allowed to jump her to the front of the line? Is anyone, do I have to?
Nope. You are running this ship. You can certainly.
Well,
I vote yes.
I won't speak for Ms. Michael that she does not want to sit here for all of it. So why don't we at least tackle Weber Lane and then we'll go through the rest of it. I don't know who's taking the lead on that.
So I'll just start.
Okay.
Ms. Michael reached out to me a couple weeks ago. She lives on the sharp curve there as you go southbound on Hollow Tree by the country club. So as you go down Hollow Tree Ridge Road curves sharply, and then there's Weber Lane right there. So since I've been here, we've had issues with cars hitting that stone wall. So she inquired to me if there was any other additional measures we could take at that location to kind of mitigate the cars hitting the stone wall. There is appropriate signage out there now. A guardrail was discussed, and my understanding is from DPW that they will not place a guardrail there. The reason behind it is that it would give less room for cars to kind of maneuver out of a bad turn there. And we'd probably end up with more accidents at that curve if the guardrail was there. So she wanted to come here to discuss, what possibly could be done to help her situation out. Because a lot of times they're hit and runs. She told me that she sees damage to the stone wall, but the people leave before the police arrive, or the police are never contacted, and the people drive away, and she's left with, pricey damages to that wall there. Is that a fair assessment, Mrs. Michael?
Yes, I would just like to add to that. First of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share our concerns and request for additional signage. We've been at this home since 2010, and since that time there have been over 12 accidents. They're not always reported to the police, as Captain Shredders just mentioned. And they almost always occur from the southbound side, so coming from New Canaan. And they are not always drunk drivers. In fact, one was at 9:30 in the morning by a Stanford physician who couldn't make the curve and flipped his car. So it's a very, very, very dangerous corner. So it's public safety more than anything else. And unfortunately, we have the stone wall at that corner, and it always gets obliterated. This most recent time, an Audi went right on top of the stone wall, and the entire stone wall in excess of 30 feet collapsed. So in that instance, the police were called because post 53. And for those who have lived, Kim, you've been here a while. There was a 7-8-year-old girl who was killed because her mother was heading south and couldn't make the curve, and the Suburban hit an oak tree, and the daughter was killed. And there have been serious injuries throughout a 24-hour period, and it's always results in injury and always results in damage. So I'm coming to the police commission to ask for 3-way stop signs. A precedent has been set at Allwood and Hollow Tree Ridge Road, and I discussed this with Captain Shredders, specifically that, in fact, I think Weburn Lane is more dangerous, and the reason being is because if you're heading from New Canaan towards Norotan Heights, there is the perception it's a straightaway. And when you realize there's a curve, it's too late, and particularly if you're going too fast. And yes, the police have been very good about having a patrol car hidden in between Weburn Lane and that condominium unit in there, but it doesn't stop people from speeding. And it's a dangerous curve, and what also happens is that when people are heading south, those who are heading north towards New Canaan, particularly if it's a truck, the truck's going to veer into the other lane. And I have many friends and neighbors who have always complained of how dangerous that curve is. So getting back to, I would say that at least at Allwood, there's a drop. In other words, there's a hill. So when you're going towards New Canaan, there's a stop sign, and then you can turn left into Allwood. And right ahead of you is a stone wall and trees. And then you turn down a hill. And when you're coming from New Canaan, you have to go up a hill. So there's an inclination to slow down a bit. Whereas in Weburn Lane, people think it's a straightaway. And then when they see the directional signs, that's the signage that's currently there. And every single time somebody hits the stone wall, the directional signs go down. At least one of those signs goes down. So I'm asking for the same configuration that the town already put into place at Allwood and Hollow Tree. And it's to protect, or in the interest of public safety. Also, I have a vested interest because we're always paying for the repair of a stone wall, and it's easily at least 25 to 30 feet of damage. So,
I have two questions. What,
Sure.
Captain Shredders, what is the signage there now? If I'll say southbound because that seems to be, and by the way, I've been here for 50 years, and it
You have
used
it.
to be worse when the tree was there. I completely
Yes.
concur with the
Yes.
guardrail taking out that space, because it used to be worse when people made the right and they would have been able to veer back in, except they ran into that huge oak tree. So when that was
Right.
gone, that was
Yeah.
an improvement, but that was long before my police commission. That's just me going back in
Sure.
the archives of, but what is the signage there now, southbound?
So right now you have the compliant. They're like they're yellow placards with a large black arrow indicating a curve. A curve is left, and they're segmented across the curve. There's I think about 4 or 5 of them. And just prior to that, I don't know how many yards, but there's a sign indicating curve ahead.
Okay. I don't think I was on the commission. When was the Allwood Hollow Tree Ridge Road stop signs? When were those put in?
I believe in the early 90s,
So it was a long
there
time.
were no stop signs there. Chief Anderson could probably speak to when the stop signs were placed there. But I know when I started in the early 90s, there was no 3-way stop there.
Yeah,
Right.
that was at least 10 years ago that those signs were put in there.
Yeah, at least. Okay.
So Captain Shredders, I know there's certain warrants that would need to be met for stop signs. I don't know if we need probably more time to research that perhaps, but I don't know if you have
Well,
any.
according to the MUTCD, stop signs are not meant for speed control. They're meant for conflicts between cars of who has the right of way and collisions. So I'd have to do some research about fixed object collisions and if stop signs are used to mitigate that.
So wouldn't that be the same application to Allwood? I mean, it's the same configuration. In fact, you've
Well, if you
got
look at
Allwood versus Weber Lane, and if you look at photographs of both north and south, and Weber Lane north and south, they look identical.
I'm not saying I disagree. I would just have to research it because
Right.
the problem they were having at Allwood was car versus car, not car fixed object. So I'd have to do some research to see about. You can't just plop a stop sign where someone wants a stop sign. You have to. Like the commissioner said, there has to be warrants indicating that there are certain conditions that are met to apply a stop sign at that location. So I'd have to research if they could be used for a fixed object, for fixed object collisions, and how frequent the collisions occur. Understand? There's really not a conflict of cars at that location. There's no conflicts with people pulling out of Weber Lane and people making the turn on Hollow Tree. At Hollow Tree and Allwood, there were conflict between vehicles, and we were having collisions there.
Vehicles turning left into Allwood. That was part of the commission's discussion at that point. The people northbound on Hollow Tree making the left turn into Allwood were causing vehicle-to-vehicle conflicts with vehicles coming south on Hollow Tree approaching that intersection. So we did have a couple left turning collisions where people were coming into Allwood and not being able to see to their right with the cars coming southbound.
But would you be able to apply the dangerous curve? Forget the stone wall. Just the fact that you have an incredibly you would never design a road the way that corner is designed now. And so there needs to be some other mechanism to slow people down and make them acutely aware that there's a very dangerous curve, because I've been involved where a truck has literally pushed me to the side. And if you go right now, you can see tire tracks of people that were pushed over into the snowbank. So
I'm trying to think of where there's other hairpin turns. At the end of West Ave, that when you come down West Ave and you have to bang a left to go into Stamford, Did we, I
Right.
I don't think
It's similar signage there.
similar signage? Because that car ended up in those people's living room, I think. I'm trying to think if
Would those rumble strips help, Captain? Like they have
believe
going up all
They
over.
already have, there already is a patch of grooved roadway there.
And it doesn't slow
Route.
people.
But I would assume that's for slippage or something. Is that for
Right.
speed?
I mean, I'm not disagreeing. There's an issue there. It's just if you look at, I was driving around Darien and New Canaan, and when you look at similar curves, they all have, the similar signage there.
But have any of them had as many accidents as they have at this corner?
I don't know, Mrs. Michael. And again, I'm not saying that that there's not an issue there.
Right.
You and I discussed flashing lights. I know there's not going to be an appetite with residents up there to have a set of flashing lights on that S curve.
Do you really think so? I mean, because one side would be the Weburn tennis courts, and the other side there is just woods.
Well, clearly we're not going to solve it right here, but I do want to keep it on the agenda and let the commissioners go out. I want to see what the sign. Again, I have driven it my whole life, and it's been, no surprise to anybody that there are accidents there. But let us go out, and if we can, I also want the history of the all wood. If we can dig that out of the files, because that was before.
And just to preface what I say about the flashing lights, for everybody that like Mrs. Michael, that wants these measures taken, there's a whole other group that just doesn't like it, and they think it's an eyesore, and I deal with that quite frequently too. So, but obviously there's a problem. I'd be happy to look into it further with the police commission and see what we can come up with.
I greatly appreciate that.
Let's see what the options are and what's tenable to.
Okay. Wonderful.
Anything else, Catherine, you want to say? You good?
No, I appreciate Mrs. Michael jumping aboard and presenting her issue to the commission.
Excellent.
Glad to have you.
Great. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Back to bullet number 1, Corbin District update.
Well, I got an email from the Corbin District folks that the massive concrete pour that was scheduled for the 17th, which would have been actually a good day because it's Martin Luther King Day and the post office would be closed due to weather or other concerns. It's now going to be on Wednesday, the 19th.
Yeah.
They're going to hire officers and vehicles for both ends. Corbin Drive will be closed. They are going to have 90 concrete trucks worth of concrete being poured into that gaping hole. It's going to be a beautiful building when it's done. So they'll have proper signage. Anybody that needs to access the post office will have to access from Center Street down to Old Kings Highway and come back into the post office that way. Really, the post office is the only building there that's left operational that would be affected. So it's going to be one long day, probably 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. with a closure. They'll get those 90 trucks of concrete in there and get it all poured. That's weather contingent right now, but that's their plan.
I know we probably don't have the power to do this, but I'm not sure. The Norotan Heights post office, I think, only is open half day, or maybe I'm wrong.
They're open all day. They close for lunch for an hour, I think, 11:30 to 12:30.
I'm just wondering if we can, on that day, direct people there, or and not that.
Oh, in our traffic advisory that we will send out as soon as we have the firm date, we can certainly say, for quicker service, uses Norotan Heights Post Office.
Yeah, and I don't know, again, not to alert the post office if they have the ability to shift personnel. If we're going to send people to Norotan Heights, maybe they can shift a body so there's not just the one person that sometimes hate to shift everyone there and have the line out the door because we haven't communicated.
We could certainly, ask them that. The good thing at the post office, as you know, is there's no sorting. There's no trucks coming out of there anymore. So it's just walk-up service there at So I can
Okay.
certainly have a conversation with the postmaster to let them know that
Well,
on that, maybe they
Are
do want
the trucks coming down the post road, or are they coming in through Old Kings Highway South?
trucks will come down the post road, down Center Street. They'll all be approaching in from Old Kings Highway and pulling in that way and pulling out back onto the post road. It's going to be a circular one-way operation. And it's not going to be 90 trucks. We're talking about maybe, 8 or 9 trucks per hour. It's going to be a steady stream of concrete trucks coming in there. They're going to have a big pump truck to pump it down into the abyss as they're building that, footing in for that building. So
well, it's one day. It will be a mess, but
Right.
one day.
we
We
pull
will.
the Band-Aid off once and get it done, and
Yeah.
we should move it along.
Okay. That will, traffic advisory going out would be helpful on that. Traffic gates on public roads.
Well, this is more so for maybe folks that are viewing on Channel 79 or just anybody who's watching this at any point. Just we recently had an incident where it involved traffic gates that were installed on a public thoroughfare maintained by the town of Darien. Like the traffic gates, the white traffic gates that you see in private associations are simply not permissible on town maintained roads. Not during the summer months, not during the winter months. It's a joint bailiwick, if you want to say, between the DPW and the Legal Traffic Authority. Those gates are not permissible for liability purposes and for traffic control management on roads. People like to see sometimes their roads operate as private roads, and they're not. That's why you're allowed to have those gates either in the Tokenique Association or the Allwood Association or anywhere on a private road. You cannot have them on town maintained roads.
Okay, well, if that's just an announcement, so announced. Sidewalks and crosswalks on Old Kings Highway North and Parklands Drive.
So commissioners, this goes back to one of our last meetings. I did meet out on site there with Darren Ostafane from DPW, and it looks like they do have a good plan for the sidewalks and the crosswalks there. It is a bit dangerous place to cross at that location. They're going to have extra signage. They anticipate, more pedestrian traffic because of that. I think it's a special needs house at the end of East Lane. So we were worried it was going to conflict what Jeremy Ginsburg wanted to do with the Parklands project as far as move the stop sign bar up. But it doesn't look like there's going to be any conflict there. So the plan looks sound to me after speaking with Darren.
Well, that's good. Okay.
On a collateral issue there in the commissioner's packet, you will see that I have a letter from a resident of Musket Lane. This resident, I've known this resident for a number of years, and she's expressing concern on traffic in that area as well, based on the potential for the housing development to go in Parklands Drive. From the police department's perspective, we can certainly do enforcement activity on Old Kings Highway, as we've done for my entire career. I think this project thus far has been vetted by the town's traffic engineer, and that the potential for residential units inside Parklands Drive is not going to significantly impact traffic on Old Kings Highway. So this commission and me as the chief typically defer to traffic engineers who do this for a living. And thus far, I am not aware of any concerns that are going to bring an increase in traffic in that area involving the residential units that are proposed there.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Patton Drive.
Well, Patton Drive has been on the traffic agenda for as long as I've been doing legal traffic, and even before that. I mean, clearly, Patton Drive, the way it's configured, people do tend to use that as a cut through if they're coming up West Avenue eastbound and they see the light changing to red at Hollow Tree. They might tend to go that way if they're heading to the train station or otherwise the Heights Road to shave off a couple minutes. Now, it's important to note that both the Federal Realty project and the Palmer's project that are ongoing there, part of the charge to the developers was to get their approvals through that they were going to be doing significant upgrades to traffic signalization, timing, and phasing in that neighborhood. Now, that project, is nowhere near completion, but I think when it is done and we get the upgrades to traffic signalization, especially on Hollow Tree at West and Hollow Tree at Heights, that we would see maybe a lessening of cut-through traffic, because if the timing and the phasing is properly done, people won't have to, jump through Patton Drive. Now, as far as Patton Drive goes, it's one way coming eastbound. It's always been one way eastbound as long as I can remember. If there was any other configuration, I don't remember it. There's no real way to make it a dead end at either end. To do so, the fire department would require a cul-de-sac or something to turn around their apparatus. There is simply not enough real estate at either end of Patton Drive to close it off. It is what it is. It's a public road. We can't preclude people from coming down that road if they so choose. I'm not sure what other avenue we could pursue there to try to keep traffic off. I do understand the residents' concerns. The traffic may move faster than what is prudent down there on occasion. I don't think we have a huge issue with speeding traffic on Patton Drive. I've sat up there and watched traffic up there. Is there going to be people exceeding the speed limit on every street? Yes, there are. That's just human nature, unfortunately. I'm not sure what else the captain might be able to shed some light on as far as the latest correspondence from the folks on Patton Drive.
I'm sorry to jump in front of you. Do we have any clarity on when the construction project might restart, and hence?
Federal Realty's they're moving well along. The Palmer's project, I think, is moving along slowly, but I don't think there's any real movement on that property. So
we don't have clarity when the lights and the signaling and all of that might be.
I'm not sure even Ed Gentile, the DPW director, would be able to give us any kind of definitive answer. He might have a little better than I do, and I will certainly check with him.
Okay. Anyone else? Captain Shutters, I know I jumped in front of you, but do you have any other?
Yeah, Commissioner, I received the email from Mrs. Phillips. I have never spoken with them. They probably saw me on the website as being, this traffic under my direction. So I received the email, as well as Public Works in the First Selectman's office, et cetera. So I could reach out to them and have a conversation with her and discuss some things. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, that would be a good next step. And
one thing I would like to note, looking at the email, it says the prior neighbor has forwarded me all the documentation, including a traffic study by the town that they had not yet reviewed with the town, the police department, and the engineer. So they were requesting to coordinate a meeting. I would just like to say for the record that entire project, both of those projects, were well vetted by the Legal Traffic Authority and the town's traffic engineer and planning and zoning some years ago when these projects were proposed. So they were in fact vetted as far as traffic issues, and there was constraints put upon the developers that they had to do traffic-wise on their dime to get these projects moved forward.
good, because I was reading that myself. Okay. All right, so Captain Shredders, that is in your to-do list.
Mm-hmm.
Any other traffic issues? Special meeting, we can't really add anything, so I will move on to budget update.
Well, Captain Shredders did yeoman's work, as well as some of our other staff members. We all kind of pitch in to get the budget done. I had my budget review meeting with the town administrator. I think it went fairly smoothly. I look forward to the next part of the process. We'll meet with some folks from the finance mission, and we will move forward. I think, as always, the police department crafted a fully defendable, reasonable budget. We don't add in any extra fluff in there. We ask for what we truly need and what we think we need to operate efficiently and effectively. So Captain Shredders deserves kudos for his work getting that done. I appreciate it greatly. From someone who did it myself for 7 or 8 years, it's not so much fun duty, but it's something that certainly has to be done. And I think we're well on our way through the budget process.
Excellent. Okay, Thriving Youth Task Force presentation, January 25th on the new marijuana laws.
That's me once again. Detective Capelli and I did a presentation for the Thriving Youth Task Force on the new RERACA recreational marijuana laws in the state of Connecticut. I guess they liked it so much, they asked if we could do a rerun of that presentation to residents, and that will be coming up at 7 o'clock. Is that on the 27th, I believe? That's an online.
It says the 25th. 25th at 7 o'clock.
25th at 7 o'clock. Yours truly, live and in color on the screen. We'll be going over the ins and outs of that law with parents, anybody who wants to get on. So look forward to that.
And how does one, we're going to publicize that? How do people know how to log on to that?
They can go on the Thriving Youth website, and we can probably get that on the police department website as well with a link for that.
That would be good. And on the topic of cannabis, the next item is letter from Planning and Zoning regarding adult use of cannabis.
Yeah, I would like the commission to take a look at this correspondence from Planning and Zoning if they haven't already. It's kind of a two-pronged bifurcated request for the police commission to weigh in on. One is the potential for allowing recreational marijuana use on town property. Now, with some few exceptions, alcohol is not allowed on town property for the most part, or Board of Education property. I'm not so sure we want to go down the road of allowing marijuana use on town property. A couple caveats there. We don't allow smoking in almost virtually any spot now on town property. So we wouldn't allow that whether they were smoking cannabis or smoking, tobacco. It's almost a moot point on town property. If it's not smoking, there would be no way for the police really to know, or anyone else to know, if cannabis was being consumed either in an edible or in a tea or anything. So that's one of the prongs. Clearly in larger municipalities under statute, they are required to have public property where marijuana smoking is permitted and almost promoted. They say this is the location where cannabis can be consumed. We're not under those constraints because of our population. But I'd like the commission to take a close look at that letter from Planning and Zoning, and perhaps we could revisit it at our next meeting or going into the future. The second prong is the potential for having a legalized recreational marijuana dispensary here in the town of Darien. Well, that's kind of a public policy decision, I think, that we would, or the commission could weigh in on. I'm not entirely sure. I am certainly no business expert. I'm not a medical or recreational marijuana dispensary expert. I'm not sure if the business model would work there in Darien, if there would be enough business to support a storefront, a dispensary here in Darien. I'm just not sure. I just don't know enough about it at this point. I do know the law requires that you cannot display your wares. You cannot have anything visible from a window. So it's not going to be, like a 1960s, head shop type of thing, no matter what municipality it goes in. Still too early to tell for me. I'm just not so sure that business model would work here in Darien. Maybe other people will have different ideas,
But independent of whether we think it works, we weigh in on, well, I'll have to read Jeremy's letter, but.
Yes, some people think there will be an influx of crime. Some people think there will be an influx of traffic. I really don't have a firm belief on there. I do not believe that there would be a significant increase in crime. Any of these businesses will be well regulated. The hours of operation will be set forth. I'm just not so sure that anybody really think that it would be a good business model here. But it's
All right.
it's a 3 or 4 page document. So if the commission can take a look at that, we can revisit it in the future.
All right, as long as there's not a timing element, let us dig a little deeper as the 3 commissioners, and we'll put it back on our agenda.
I just wanted to mention before we got too far, I'm not sure if we can step back one again, but Chief, your presentation with the Thriving Youth Task Force is posted on their website. You can register on their website. And they put it out on their social media platforms too.
Perfect. All right, scheduling software ransomware update.
Well, as the commission knows, our scheduling software has been ransomed. You know, it's Kronos. They're an international billion-dollar company. So it's not the Darien Police Department scheduling software. It's worldwide. We are still waiting for Kronos to develop the fix and roll out the fix. Fortunately, we have Sergeant Moore still working here at the police department, who created a temporary scheduling software system that we can operate on. And he's going even further, that when Kronos is back and the telestaff system is back, that we would be able to use his program to back populate the telestaff system. It's been a little bit problematic, right? Especially right at the beginning, who's coming to work. We had to make sure we didn't let folks go until the next shift was properly staffed. But by and large, I think it's working fairly well. I don't know how Kronos is solving this problem. I have no idea. If they paid the ransom, I have no idea. All that I know is we need our telestaff system back. And it's supposed to be maybe this week. It doesn't look like that's going to be promising at this point, but I'm hoping in the next week or two, we're back to regular operation for our staffing. Because of the way it worked, we had a 2-week pay period where officers who worked anything additional than their regular scheduled shift were not paid, and they have not been paid yet, because there is no way to determine what they worked and when they worked. So we do owe some officers some money from prior to Christmas that we will make them whole as quick as we can.
And we need to bubble wrap Mr. Moore. We have, okay, well, that is an ongoing IT issue that is specific, but the overarching message is we need an IT expert. It's getting almost weekly. We have something that requires somebody to step in and fix. All right, SRO update for Middlesex Middle School.
I think the commission is already aware that Officer Schwengerer, who was injured on duty and was out for an extended period of time, he was due to come back, and unfortunately they found out that the injuries that he sustained were additional above and beyond what he originally had. So he will be out again for the foreseeable future. To that end, I've had extensive conversations with Dr. Adley about the importance and need for an SRO figure at the Middlesex Middle School. So Detective Capelli, who's our youth detective, will step up to the plate, and he's going to be staffing the SRO position at Middlesex Middle School for the foreseeable future. He will be doing his youth detective duties from there as well. So he will be wearing 2 hats. He's up to the task, and I'm sure he's going to do a fine job at Middlesex until Officer Schwengerer is ready to come back and rejoin us full duty.
So he's going to be more or less full-time, stepping into the actual role, not just kind of, I think, hasn't he been stepping in here and there?
He has on a regular basis, but he will be there as his regular assignment unless we have to pull him for a certain amount of time on a day. The plan is for him to do his youth detective work and other detective work from that location, so he's on scene. I do believe that's, at this point, we've been quite some time without a full-time SRO there, that I think for the remainder of the year, I think it's beneficial to have somebody there. And Mark is willing and quite able. He's up to that task to do that.
Agreed.
I think he attended Middlesex, so nobody better than him.
Yeah, except Middlesex, yeah, when we didn't look quite like that. He might have been a Mather boy. You never know, Brent, back in the day.
Good point.
I think he was Mather.
Okay, JAG Justice Assistant Grant opportunity in the amount of $15,000.
Jared, you want to take that one?
Sure. The State of Connecticut Office of Policy and Management has rolled out their JAG grant opportunity, which is Federal Justice Assistance Formula Grant. They've allocated $15,000 to the Darien Police Department if they approve our application. This time around, we are applying to acquire 2 vehicle-mounted electronic variable message board signs. Similar to those trailerable signs that you'll see around town, occasionally posting different messages that there's a road race ahead or the dump hours or whatever that might be. These are a little bit smaller. They're portable. They fold up. They can be plugged into a trailer hitch, mounted on a vehicle. They can be powered by the vehicle. And we're also getting we hope to acquire a standalone post that one of these signs could be mounted on, and again, displaying various messages. This particular grant is targeting violent crime prevention, and our pitch to use these signs to help that is that we were going to use them during the overnight to advertise that not only are we in progress surveillance details for auto theft, or we could also post messages reminding the public to lock their cars and take their fobs. The city of Norwalk, we've worked with them over the past couple of months on an additional grant and task force, and they have these same 2 products, and they've been using it for the same purpose. So we sent off our lengthy application today, and we hope to hear soon and acquire those items over the next couple of months.
That would be nice to have. Does that cover the next agenda item? The update for Lower Fairfield County Stolen Vehicle Task Force?
Related, but it's kind of a separate update on that. As the commission knows, the state of Connecticut OPM, through a pass-through grant, gave us up to $35,000 that we applied for and got for the Lower Fairfield County Auto Task Force. That was a sunsetted grant that had to end on December 30th. So we were finished with that. This is a reimbursement grant, so the town did expend overtime funds to pay the officers who staffed that detail. As soon as Telestaff comes back up and I can find out who worked when, we will be submitting a request for reimbursement to OPM to get those funds back in the town coffers. So I'll just update on that.
Excellent. Okay. Potential staffing, an as-needed task force member with Homeland Security Investigations.
We had a meeting with the Homeland Security Special Agent in charge here. He works out of New Haven. Just right up front, there's been always a lot of talk about working with Homeland Security or with Immigration and Custom Enforcement, what this is and what this is not, right? This is in no way, shape, or form have anything to do with civil detainers or civil immigration matters. This is criminal investigation only. This task force, by and large, does human trafficking and underage and internet pornography with children. That's what this part of Homeland Security does. They're looking for partnership with local municipal agencies as a part-time, as-needed basis, where we can partner with them. If we have a case involving here in Darien that involves that type of activity, we can partner with them. They have avenues of investigation that we can tap into much quicker. They can get internet service provider information very quickly in these investigations. It's not where we would have a Darien officer going anywhere and staffing a task force except as needed. Typically, they're offering us assistance for our cases that we might have in Darien. So I think there's a packet up in the commission's folders for this, but I do want to make it clear, because the way the police accountability bill was laid out, that we are not allowed in Connecticut to work on civil detainers or civil immigration matters. This is not that. This is criminal investigations only. So I think we should consider partnering with HSI in this, initiative. I do want to have a conversation with the chief state's attorney because we also staff the technical investigation unit, as you know, from Fairfield County here, that this kind of does the same kind of thing. So I want to make sure that we're okay with the state's attorney and being involved in this. So I just want to put it on the commission's radar. I don't think we need to make a decision on it tonight. I still want to discuss this further with the command staff here and the administration and the commission before we agree to this. There's no set time frame. We don't have to, we do have to formally get approval, and we have to, we would get, our officers that were involved would get federal authority under a certain title. It's not civil immigration, it's criminal investigation. And so there's steps to go through before we can get this squared away. We're just right at the beginning of this, but I wanted to bring it to the commission's attention so they could review it and we can hash it out to see if that's something we want to participate in moving forward.
Okay. Request from the Darien Police Association to display the lock it or lose it magnets.
I will hold this up to the screen. This is a collaborative effort between the Darien Police Association and the SAD group, which is the Students Against Destructive Decisions. Sergeant Moore is the liaison to that group. They had these magnets made up, and the Darien Police Association is asking for commission approval to display these magnets on our marked police vehicles. In addition, SAD and DPA have joined together to have posters to put up around town that's of similar theme. So I think Chris Jimenez is on the call here today if he wants to add to that. But my recommendation would be to the commission that we would put these on our marked vehicles. If the commission so chooses, you can choose a time frame to put them on.
I certainly have no problem with it. Anything we can do that moves the needle in any way has got my full support. So I don't know if any of the other commissioners have any other questions or comments. Or
I think it's terrific. I think the magnets would be very helpful. It brings awareness. I think secondly, if you have posters around town, wherever they plan on putting them up, the more the better. We can't get the message out enough.
Correct. So I will make a motion that we approve the request from the Darien Police Association to display the magnets on our marked patrol vehicles. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just briefly on that note, Kim, if you don't mind, I see Officer Jimenez is on the line here. Chris, just want to thank you and the Darien Police Association not only for the support there with locking the cars, but secondly, we had a very successful Think Smart Before You Start campaign, and we just want to thank you again, Board of Selectmen, the Residents Police Commission, just for the support by the Darien Police Association. No cost to the residents, and we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Two thumbs up. Request for part-time employment, Officer Kate Gillino.
So Gelino is requesting, like a few of our other officers, to do real estate as a part-time endeavor. It will not affect her employment here with the police department as her primary vocation. I don't see any downside to the commission to have her sell some real estate on her off-duty time. I would recommend that the commission approves that outside employment.
I have no objection, so we need a motion.
Motion.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Second request for part-time employment, Officer Neil Nair.
The department's in the process of having Officer Nair certified in the medical field and emergency services field to do training for us at some point. He's requesting to do some of this training for outside agencies and outside companies. Again, I don't see any downside to allowing him to do this training once he is fully certified in these matters. I think it's good for the department. I think it's good for him. Again, it will not affect his employment with the police department. Be doing it only such time as when he's scheduled off duty. Again, I see no downside, and I would recommend to the commission that they approve this outside employment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Okay, now comes the, the really, where I really didn't want to get to. Chief, do you want to take the resignations and requests for retirement list?
Give me just 1 second to get the that here in order. I got a stack of papers, so let me get to it. Okay. So we have a resignation of Officer Christian Fischella. As the commission knows, he has moved on from law enforcement. It's not that surprising in this day and age of law enforcement that we may see people choosing to, well, vacate this profession. This has always been a tough job. It will continue to be a tough job. With the recent happenings, it makes it even that much more difficult. So Christian Fischella was here for about 3.5 or 4 years. He did a fine job for us. He's moving out of this profession, and I certainly wish him well. Just this afternoon, I got a request for retirement from Officer T. Courtney Isaac. As the commission knows, he's our long-serving traffic division officer. He has been here for 25 years and has requested a well-deserved retirement effective February 1st. I would recommend to the commission that we thank him for his service and approve his request for retirement.
Well, I certainly thank him for his service, and I reluctantly accept his request for retirement. It is 25 years is a long time, but I still hate to see him go.
He's done fine service for us for a lot of years, and I will certainly miss his expertise, his dedication to duty, and traffic division is not always the most loved job in the police department. It's not the most loved job from some of the residents who are getting stopped, but it's something that needs to be done. And he did it very, very well. He needed very little supervision. You knew what you were getting from him. You knew he was going to be on top of his assignments and doing it right and doing it well. So I applaud him for 25 years of very dedicated service to the town.
Hear, hear. All right. I make a motion to accept Officer Isaac's request for retirement. Second.
I want to thank him for the 25 years as well. I second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Next up, Chief.
Sergeant Mark Cirillo retired on January 1st, so this is kind of an ex post facto request for retirement. He did 28 plus years here. He was a very hardworking, dedicated police officer here for many, many years. He worked the midnight shift by choice for a good period of that his career, but he was a dedicated and knowledgeable officer. He served in field services. He served on the Southwest Emergency Response Team. He did firearms training. He was a very solid officer and sergeant throughout his career. Also a personal friend of mine. I will miss him greatly. And again, I wish him all the best in retirement.
Well, again, with reluctance, but great thanks to Sergeant Cirillo. I recommend we accept his request for retirement since we had an opportunity to chat with him on the way out, and I agree. He will be missed as well. Anyone second?
I would just echo your same comments, Kim. I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And last but certainly not least, Chief Captain Shredders.
Well, I would like to recommend that this commission decline the request for retirement from Captain Shredders. I very reluctantly request the police commission to approve his request for a well-deserved retirement. Bob came on here when he was 19 years old. He's been here his whole adult life. He is a police department stalwart. He has done absolutely exceptional service for his entire career and every assignment that he's ever worked in. He's a friend. He's a confidant. He's a true professional through and through. And while we miss all of our officers when they move on, Bob's absence here is going to be a blow to me. I wish he was staying, but I wish him all the best in both his professional and personal life as he moves forward. I thank him for his service. Well done. It could not have been done any better in my estimation. And while all of our officers who apply for retirement are well deserving of it, in Bob's case, it's especially well deserved. He's been a true professional through and through every day of his career. So I thank him.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
I have not much to add on the professional side that Chief Anderson just highlighted, but on a personal note, it has been my pleasure over 9 years to not work with, but partner with Captain Shredders. It's really been, he's been a good partner to, I would say, the police commission, but certainly this police commissioner specifically. So
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Bob, I just want to add one comment too. I haven't known you as long as Commissioner Hufford, but I've gotten to know you over the last 18 months or so. I only consider you a friend, but you're an outstanding individual. Can't thank you enough for all the years of service. 19 years old when you joined. That's amazing. So I wish you all the best in retirement, and I know that we'll stay in touch. So
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
So I made a motion. Do I have a second?
a reluctant second, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Who's on the train?
Not in favor, but I'm not a voting member.
Congratulations, Ivan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure.
We are a special meeting, so I will add nothing to the agenda. I'm not sure we can top Captain Shredder's retirement discussion. So the only thing left is our next meeting. We have, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but this is a special meeting. I assume that means if we were on for next week.
I believe that is correct, Jan, right? We would be on for next week.
That's our next regular meeting, January 20th.
Well, I think we don't need to meet in a week. Can we meet on the 27th?
I don't think the chief will be here.
Okay, well then that would be a no. So the regular meeting would be the 3rd.
Yes.
So we pick that one.
That is fine with me.
I may be remote, but I think we all may be remote. So
I think there's a good probability we will be remote again on February 3rd.
all right, let's put February 3rd down, and if that's a problem for anybody, speak up in the next couple days and we will adjust.
Captain Marin and I will be taking on the duties collectively of Captain Shredders once he departs from our ranks. So we will, until we get a new captain in his place, and we'll got big shoes to fill, but Jerry and I together collectively can probably handle it until such time as we get a new person manning that office.
Okay.
You
Well,
might
we
have
will,
to make a phone call or two here and there to you, Bob.
he's not leaving any forwarding. Bye-bye.
No, I'm around.
Okay, well, with that, I am going to call for adjournment. We will go into executive session on a different, I think on a different secure line. We will not be coming back and conducting any police business. So thanks for anybody who was listening, and we will see you on the 3rd.